2024, the most pivotal and important year in the history of cryptocurrency, according to Chamath Palihapitiya. Not only that, but Michael Saylor's view on where Bitcoin is developing into in the future sheds light on 3 projects that I think are going to benefit the most from this shift that's going on right now. This is one of the most important videos that I have made this year, so hit the like button and let's find out what I'm talking about. Now, first things first, why is 2024 the most pivotal year? Well, according to Chamath Palihapitiya, who is one of the earliest members of the Facebook team, also previously a vice president at AOL, and just one of the most successful early members of the kind of Web 2 community. Now, he says it's such an important year because we are moving from the early adopter phase into the early majority. And showing you this chart's really important. Right now, you'll probably understand that crypto isn't really used properly by anyone or anything out there, apart from a handful of us, maybe sending a few bits of cash here and there and just trying to make massive degen gains. But according to this model, the ETFs are basically going to shift us into this early majority phase. And therefore, this early majority phase dictates where the most successful projects are going to come from. The early majority is where we start to see mass adoption coming in, and therefore it is a handful of projects that sit at the perfect apex of this mass adoption that are going to see the biggest growth. So you need to forget everything you know about cryptocurrency right now and start to look at it from a standpoint of whether or not people are going to be actually using these products going forward. Now, I've carefully selected 3 projects that give us a nice little mix of mainstream and degenerate. And the first more mainstream product that I'm going to be talking about today is Toncoin. And I'm going to talk about all the benefits of this, and also at the end of the segment, I'm going to talk about the risks to Toncoin and others going forward. Currently, with an $18.2 billion market cap, which is fairly mainstream, but stick with me, the gains could still potentially be massive for this one. Well, it's the utility coin of something that I use every day called Telegram. Now, you probably have heard of Telegram. If you haven't, go and download Telegram now and get into the free Telegram group, which is linked down below. Here, you'll be able to engage with others around the world. You'll identify new coins and things to be buying. You can also ask advice and get special offers through the House of Crypto. So Telegram, for those of you who don't know, is basically a messaging app, or at least it used to be a messaging app that's now starting to develop and add on new things. It's recently integrated the Ton wallet, which is a Web3 wallet on the app. What is so exciting about this right now is the potential going forward for what this really means. This is an app that's starting to get used not only by Web3 people, but by Web 2 people. And at the moment, Telegram has now an audience of 800 million active users. That's unbelievably big. Not only that, but it is rapidly growing year on year and will continue to grow as we move into the future. Not only that, if you've actively been using Telegram, you will realize that this app is developing all the time, becoming better and better and more user-friendly, which now means that as of January of this year, Telegram now sits as the number 4 messaging app globally. Number 1 being WhatsApp, number 2 being the WeChat super app. That's basically the mainstream social media messaging app in mainland China. Now, for a while, people in crypto have talked about this WeChat super app, and people have talked about the possibility of Elon Musk creating something like this with Twitter, but actually it seems to be Telegram that is going to be doing this first. WeChat is owned by a company called Tencent that has a market cap valuation of $446 billion US, which is why $18 billion doesn't seem so big anymore, does it? Now, the current audience of Telegram is around 800 million and is anticipated to reach 1.5 billion by 2028. And at the moment has around 1.7 million active Ton wallets on Telegram, and they're hoping to increase this active number of wallets against the growing Telegram user base over time. So what is Ton? Effectively, Ton is a layer 1 solution. When compared with Solana and Ethereum, you can see that it's a high-speed layer 1 solution for multi-purpose applications. And this is what makes it suitable for a potential super app. Now, as someone who used to live in mainland China, I used to use WeChat pretty much on a daily basis because that app is unbelievable. Imagine a WhatsApp where you can also go and pay your electricity bills, where you can also book flights, where you can pay for your dinner and you can get everyone around the table to contribute to you by just scanning a QR code. You can go to a football training session with 90 people and get them all to contribute their fair share of the cost of renting the field. But this app is limited because it's available in China and has to be linked to a bank account. The bank account then means that you can only trade one currency, which is the Chinese yuan. Now, Ton is starting to integrate Telegram mini apps, which means that developers can come in and simply build drag and drop applications for various different features, from building crypto launchpads to staking platforms to music applications, NFT platforms, and so many other things. And this is where I see potential for a mass adoption thing going on. And this is extremely important and very exciting. Not only that, but a lot of the active wallets on TON right now are coming from something you probably haven't thought about, and that is the global remittance market. Now, what is the remittance market? Okay, well, you may have noticed around the world right now, there is a much bigger amount of migration going on for various different reasons. Some socio-economic factors such as better opportunities and better paying jobs in other countries, but also because of things like war and famine. Not only that, but more flexible job markets in places like Dubai and other areas are encouraging individuals from developing countries to go and seek better paid work in other countries. And what a lot of these people are doing is working very hard, making a lot of money, and then sending it back to their families in their own country. However, lots of them don't want to do it through traditional banking systems. So what do? They get themselves a TON wallet on Telegram. And these are the people who have been actively using it the most. But I want you to also think that previously the migration has been going from developing countries into developed countries. But because of what's happening in the world right now, we see in the UK and the US, living costs getting extremely expensive, people now having the flexibility to move abroad. Lots of people are doing what I do, where I now live in Bali, Indonesia, and they're moving in all sorts of different directions. Therefore, the net migration is going absolutely crazy, and people are now working for international companies, being paid in cryptocurrency, and therefore, the TON wallet could be at the center of all of this, all of these different applications. All of this mass adoption could be going ahead in the coming years. 1.5 billion people on Telegram start to become active, start to actively trade and use that ecosystem, then the TON coin sits at the center of all of this. And lots of people are starting to realize this. According to this image here from Electric Capital, the number of members in the TON developers chat is also starting to increase. And this is all together leading towards a very healthy looking layer one ecosystem. And I don't like to look at new layer ones because I think between Ethereum and Solana, they're going to continue to capture more and more of the market. And other layer ones out there might not be able to do anything about it. But this one leverages an already enormous network of users that is continuing to grow day on day, and that separates it from the rest. However, the more pessimistic amongst you will have identified a bit of an issue with all of this. Regulation. It's quite evident that regulation is coming in more and more all the time. Therefore, this might look like an incredibly exciting project, and I think it is, and definitely is something that I will be investing in. And we will look at the charts in just a moment. But we also have the risk factor that regulation could come in at some point and, upset the whole apple cart, which would obviously be very significant. And I think there's good potential that it happens, unless it can kind of work alongside governments, maybe introducing some sort of stable coin that's linked to various currencies around the world, and see how that works. But other risk factors are that there are other ecosystems out there that are performing strongly. Solana is gathering users on a daily basis. It's blowing up. And this could then lead to a rise of Solana, maybe creating some sort of super app. Is it more difficult to create the super app with lots of users, or is it more difficult to create the kind of layer one that supports the system? But I do think that Solana lacks the ability to do the more complex transactions. Therefore, I think that TON will still hold its way in this particular area. Let me know down below what you think of TON, whether or not it has the potential that we're looking at. Now, over on DeFiLlama.com, you can also see that the TON total value locked is now $176.79 million and is growing month on month. Despite the fact the market is cooling down and has been cooling down over the last month or so, TON has been moving towards the upside in TVL. This is extremely bullish, something that makes me feel very strongly about a project like this because it has the ability to save me through these dips and things like that by being fairly stable compared to the others. The market cap, $18 billion is big, fully diluted 26. But as I always say, we want to have some risky assets and maybe some more stable assets. If we go through an explosive growth phase in this bull market, and we actually do witness some form of mass adoption happening, then there is a good chance that the project will succeed and actually gaining active users who are going to be spending money and actually using the platform. It could see something crazy in crypto that we've actually not seen before. A project that isn't just propped up by hot air and overconfident YouTubers. Wouldn't that be nice? So, I like TON. It has a good opportunity in it. And yes, it would have been nice to be getting into it right back then, but it gives us a nice opportunity. We didn't get in earlier on this year. And we can see after this pullback, which has been going on over the last 3 weeks, unsurprisingly, along with Bitcoin, and I do actually believe that Bitcoin might have finished its dump. What makes me believe that it might have finished its dump is the fact that BlackRock goes and releases a big article saying, we had a massive outflow of ETFs. What I really think has happened is that a lot of ETFs were sold by BlackRock, but BlackRock still maintains and holds the underlying Bitcoin assets. Therefore, the ETF on top of it doesn't really mean shit. So I think BlackRock may have played their cards trying to shake out the market even further with a little bit of fear and drama to shake you out, panic, and then suddenly it just turns around and goes the other way. I love to see a bit of negative news coming after a big dump, okay? Because when I start seeing negative news, I'm like, okay, That means the market's ready to turn around. The same way that Cathie Wood, bless her, was telling us that Bitcoin was going to go to $1 billion up here, which is the ultimate sell signal. You know, now BlackRock telling us that they're already selling and whatever down here is probably the ultimate buy signal. Okay, I'm feeling fairly confident about buying the dip. How about you? I appreciate I'm talking a lot, so let's see if we've got a buy zone for TON. As you'd like to see here, we have an area where TON went sideways, and you can see that there was a big candle that came out of this area. Bearing in mind that TON is worth over $18 billion at the moment, and previously in a single day went up 20%, which is around $3.6 billion. In fact, at that level, probably would have been slightly more than that. You will understand that this is probably quite large institutional money buying into this project. Therefore, if large institutions were happy to buy into this area around here, then we can be fairly confident that you could see a good bounce in here. We started to see, guess what, a big bounce in here. Now you can see if you put in this downward slope on this, we're starting to break out of this zone. That doesn't mean for sure that we're bound to bounce from here, but it gives me more confidence in my conviction about getting into Toncoin. Me personally, if you want to go and do more research on it, then go and check out Toncoin. This is a completely neutral review because obviously I've told you the positives and I've told you the negatives for this project. You're basically betting on this not getting turned over by the SEC. If it gets turned over by the SEC, it could be pretty dramatic. But if not, it could be a monster. I like the look of it. Now, I know I've been going on a bit, but let's consider something else that's happening if we're talking about the mass adoption and people moving across to the mainstream. I watched a fairly interesting video that was shared by Altcoin Daily earlier on in one of his infamous news review videos. And it was an interview on the Bitcoin magazine between the former PayPal president, David Marcus, and Michael Saylor. And I'll also tell you what Michael Saylor said in a minute. And what David Marcus said in this interview was that mass adoption wasn't going to happen onto any blockchain out there that had associations with any country, whether it's developed in a certain country, run by people from a certain country, or anything like that. Therefore, there was only one blockchain that could be used across various global markets. And I think you know where I'm going to head with this, but I'll explain why that's so important right now. Now, unless you've been sleeping under a rock or in the jungle for at least the last 15 to 20 years, then you'll understand that there is a little bit of tension going on in the world right now as a few of the big dogs start pushing and pulling against each other. And if you've ever come across this book by Ray Dalio, worth reading, The Change in World Order, you'll understand why this is and why Bitcoin is very important to us right now. Now, before I tell you about those two Bitcoin projects, I want you to think about where we are in the world right now. This is what Ray Dalio talks about in The Changing World Orders. Now, you don't have to be a history buff to know that over a period of time, different countries have basically dominated the world. From the rise and fall of the Dutch Empire to the rise and the fall of the British Empire in the 18th, 19th, and the early 20th century, followed by the rise of the US, and now followed by the rise of the Chinese. Now, Ray Dalio basically says as countries develop, they borrow more and more money to basically grow out their ecosystems. They build roads, they build bridges, they build dams, they build factories, they do all sorts of crazy things, okay, which allows rapid expansion in the country. However, this comes with problems because later down the line, like we're seeing right now, you have mass inflation. And then you try and put up the interest rates, which doesn't really work. Interest rates then screw people even further as inflation continues to screw people. And sadly, that means that a global leading empire comes to a close. And around the time you get the fall of a previous empire and you see upcoming one, you then start to see wars break out as various countries fight for dominance. And around this period of time, you had like the First World War and Second World War at the end of it. The US then came out on top at the end of the Second World War. Obviously, I know the Brits didn't fight the US, we're on the same side, but others were looking for this world domination, like Japan, Nazi Germany, etc. And the problem is, we get wars around these periods of time because people are not willing to go and dive into one global currency. Therefore, the US dollar is potentially losing its grip as the world's global currency right now. But as well as that, the US definitely doesn't want to be buying into the Chinese yuan. Many other countries don't want to do that either because it's going to add strength to China as China starts to push and try and grow its influence on a global basis. Therefore, this comes at a time that I feel that there could be a bit of space, a bit of room for a global payment solution, a global currency to come in and take over the mainstream. And if you've been watching Michael Saylor and various other Bitcoin maxis for years, then you'll understand that Bitcoin theoretically could be probably the only currency that could step in and take this place. Therefore, we should all go and buy Bitcoin. I'm kidding, okay? Boring. I'm not here for a 2 or 3x, okay? Bitcoin still will do well. 2 or 3x, I think we can hope for. Great times, great investment, great returns, good risk to reward ratio. But as you know, I'm a bit more of a degen than that. And we want to see a massive growth in the Bitcoin ecosystem. But the Bitcoin ecosystem, as we know, is very decentralized and very secure, but not particularly fast and not particularly cheap. Therefore, it comes with a lot of limitations. And I think you know where I'm going, because now we're going to talk about projects built on Bitcoin that are going to change this ecosystem forever. You've already got Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy unveiling a plan for a Bitcoin-based decentralized identity using ordinals. Therefore, I think the future for ordinals and BRC20 chain stuff is very, very bright indeed. Now, remember in the last bull market, one of the biggest gainers, one of the biggest stories was the growth of Ethereum. Ethereum, again, highly decentralized, good security, good uptime, unlike Solana. Solana can't be relied upon because of this reason, but Ethereum is expensive and slow. Therefore, people started to build Ethereum layer 2s. Now, coming across again to DeFiLlama.com, thinking about Ethereum, I want to talk about the layer 2s built on Ethereum. As we come down through the list, you can see Blast Network. This launched just the other day, $2.5 billion bridged. Base Network, $6.39 billion. Arbitrum, $12.6 billion. And all of these basically running on the Ethereum ecosystem right now. Mantle, 888. Linear, $675 million. You can see the TVL locked up in layer 2s is just astronomically big on Ethereum. But if everything moves towards a Bitcoin ecosystem because of that changing world order stuff, then hypothetically, of course, and I'm a big dreamer, Bitcoin layer 2 stuff could be bonkers as well. Now, I bring you across to a project that I've been talking about a lot recently. And the more I look at it, the more I delve into this, the more bullish I become. And why am I so bullish? Well, BVM has a market cap of $68 million, which, considering all those layer 2s on Ethereum out there, tens of billions of dollars, this could be extremely interesting. Why is it? Well, BVM have identified the problem with Bitcoin, and they talk about it on one of these cool little videos they have here, where Bitcoin is this like $1 trillion beautiful island where loads of things are possible, but it's really difficult to get to and from this island. What BVM does is basically provide simple instructions, as well as like a Lego type brick by brick building solution that allows you to build Bitcoin layer 2s, an infinite number of Bitcoin layer 2s, in fact, on this ecosystem. And you can see recently someone's built Rune Chain on this, and various others are being built on this all the time. You can use this for DeFi, you can use it for GameFi, SocialFi, all sorts of other things. Okay, so this is incredibly powerful because this ecosystem is also interoperable with other ecosystems out there like Ethereum, Celestia, Polygon, Filecoin, etc. So you can build a layer 2 on Bitcoin, decentralized, that then can interact with other chains out there, all done through this one product, and it can all be done in just a few clicks. And I recommend going and checking out more how this works. You can see GameFi already being built on Bitcoin. You can go and find out how to do it. They got a Bitcoin arcade. You got DeFi on Bitcoin. You can go to a layer 2 called Naka. You got Alpha, which is SocialFi on Bitcoin. You can go and check out all of these different products. And this is something I really like because the market cap is tiny. The potential in front of this right now, if we start to see mass adoption coming in for Bitcoin and a huge surge in the interest in BRC20, ordinals, and other things like that, then all of the products surrounding this ecosystem will start to grow. What's the first place you go to try and build this ecosystem? You go to a platform like this that allows you to do it extremely easily. People will then need to lock up BVM tokens in order for this to happen. Obviously, if Bitcoin BRC20 ordinals does well, which is almost a given in this bull market, then I think you're going to see this coin having an absolute stormer. And again, what's beautiful about this is it currently sits in a buy zone. Now, I'm pretty biased on this because it's one of my biggest bags, okay? I'm not sponsored by them in any way. I've put my own money and I've bought into this project because I see the future in these key narratives. And hopefully through what I've just described to you, maybe you can see the vision that I see. If you don't agree with me, that's also absolutely fine. But BVM, you can see, sits in a buy zone. Last time in this buy zone, it did a whopping 175%, 209%. Still fairly recent launch. Obviously, it's been cooling off recently, along with a lot of other coins that have been cooling off recently. Because Bitcoin's down, newer coins tend to get hit hardest. But you can see as Bitcoin recovers, we're starting to see a bit of a recovery phase here. If we go to a 4-hour, we can see that BVM did have a kind of breakout from this pattern, eventually came back, now retested, now starting to grow stronger again. Will it come back for a retest? Who knows, maybe it does. Green box for me, ultimate value. I was buying yesterday, down in this dip, still happy to buy every time I get some cash flow into this product and see whether or not we can take it higher. Now, before we look at the last coin and the most degen pick of them all, I get all of these coins that I'm talking about today pretty much on MEXC, because MEXC has 0% spot maker taker fees, which is almost lowest industry wide. It's got around 4,500 different crypto coins. The customer service, which I've been using recently, is phenomenally good compared to like KuCoin, OKX, and others you might have tried. And if you use that link down below, you'll be able to pick up a bonus. Every crypto coin you can pretty much ever dream of wanting is available on MEXC. And also, people have been talking about KYC. I still haven't KYC. I can still send up to 50 Bitcoins per day by using MEXC. But if you're in the US or whatever, you won't be able to access MEXC, okay? If you're traveling or whatever, Therefore, you will need a NordVPN to be able to use the website. NordVPNs are available down below in the description. You can get 4 months free if you use my link down below. And also after that, it's like $2.50 per month. This is also incredibly important because, as you can see, I'm not protected right now because I'm not connected to this, and it knows exactly where I am. It knows my IP address and everything. Therefore, this allows people to spy on what I'm doing in crypto and potentially steal my hard-earned crypto tokens. Therefore, I would always be connected to this when trading cryptocurrency for my own safety and security, and I think you should be doing it too. All links down below for this exclusive huge discount. But if you're not interested in having to get VPNs and things like that, then you can also use Bitunix, which is linked down below, where you'll get airdrop the new tokens that I list through my Bitunix competition. Now, this competition is basically where you can write down below the coins that you want to get listed on this non-KYC, non-VPN exchange, and I'll contact Bitunix and we'll get them listed the very next day. I believe today we've just listed AIOZ, Pangolin, and in fact BVM got listed a few days ago. We will continue to add new coins every single day, so it's a bit of a no-brainer. Bitunix is also a very good one to be a part of, and if you use my link, you'll get airdrop free tokens. Now, I promised you a bit of a degen play, and it's one I've talked about before, and having launched recently, you can see it's getting absolutely pounded towards the downside. $7.2 million market cap, which is a bit of a degen play, and therefore one that I quite like the look of. Bearing in mind, I'm betting on the Bitcoin BRC20 ordinals ecosystem absolutely exploding during this bull market. This happens. Every product, every decentralized exchange based around this has the potential to blow up as well. BFi is basically a trading terminal that seamlessly integrates with MetaMask, BRC20 and ordinal tokens with existing Ethereum tokens and other network tokens through all these different exchanges, which is very cool because it sits at the center point of all these future transactions that could go ahead if, you know, the whole ecosystem expands, and that's what I'm basically betting on. And because it's got a $7 million market cap, it's a bit of a no-brainer, because you could put in a few quid, and if it blows up to like $100 million or more, which I think is very possible, then you stand to make incredibly large sums of money. But obviously it's a smaller cap. You can see down below, instant trading, basically 0 to low fees. Who doesn't want that? And a lot of other benefits in here. Now, obviously, if you hold the tokens, that's going to benefit your trading experience. There's incentives to hold the tokens, which is what you want. Because if we're going to be buying BFi tokens as an investment, we want people to be taking them out of the market. Now, as I look at the BFi chart, you'll be like, oh, that's horrible. It's a dead coin. Guys, loads and loads of coins in the past, like Say or Sai. You can see after this launched, that happened back in August of last year, it basically sold off from the top all the way down around 80%. Suddenly, then, it wakes up from that dip. And it goes absolutely crazy, okay, from that dip all the way up to the top. Say did like basically a 12% in the space of, 6 months. And BFi, as you can see right now, finds itself in this area. And what's the answer? Is it going to stop here? Who knows, okay? I do think that if Bitcoin continues to start growing and that ecosystem grows, and I think BFi will find its bottom around here, volatility will re-enter the market. Maybe we can take a swing low here to the swing high on the Fibonacci. You'll see that maybe worst case scenario, we get down to the 1.618, which from current prices down to 1.618 would be down around 26%. But personally, I'm happy to DCA in, and I've been DCAing into BFi through this dip. Where does it go in the future? Well, potential for going to $100 to $200 million market cap, which based on the fact that it's worth $7 million right now, could be a 20 to 30x. I think if BVM continues to grow and expand to being worth around $10 billion or more, then that's looking like 50 to 60x, maybe plus, who knows? And yes, guys, this is speculation. It's crypto. Welcome to the world of speculation. This is why we're here. Then Ton, I think, ambitious to look for 20x, but a much safer bet and a coin that I might be using to hedge my bets in slightly riskier assets like the other ones that we talked about today. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, something a bit more in depth and hopefully interesting that maybe you enjoyed on this sunny Friday afternoon or wherever you are in the world. Make sure you hit the like button, do me a favor, subscribe so that you can learn more about what's going on in crypto and be better than 99% of the other people out there who don't know anything. Up your skills, up your game, and you'll make more money than most of the other people in the market. Hit the like button and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.